With Saturn now going retrograde, it's important to see how Saturn's retrogression is bringing results for the specific rising signs, the specific zodiac signs in terms of what houses Saturn rules, where Saturn is right now transiting through and getting retrograde in, and also where Saturn aspects, because this is about revisiting, reordering, and restructuring certain areas of life where Saturn is pointing its direction towards. Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel, Astro Assurance. Saturn has gone retrograde and Saturn will remain retrograde over the next 4 months till at least mid-October or end of October. So it's important to note what are the signs that Saturn is trying to tell us. What is the direction Saturn is asking us to go? Because Saturn's retrogression is about revisiting, reordering, restructuring, revisiting certain areas and correct them while there is still time. So let's see what is the retrogression meaning for the Aries zodiac sign. So for Aries zodiac sign, Saturn rules the 10th and the 11th house. So when Saturn goes retrograde, Saturn will affect the results of both the 10th and the 11th houses as well as where Saturn is transiting through. So Saturn's first impact will be through its rulership, which means career will be impacted as well as the social life. And your dreams, your wishes and desires and your social obligations and your gains will also be under focus. What does this mean? So it means a revisit of certain areas in your life which pertain to career. So Saturn is giving you a chance of reordering or restructuring or reorganizing certain areas of your life connected to career, connected to work, connected to your karma, connected to certain actions. So it is revisiting certain decisions that you have taken concerning career or reference to career or your dealings at work or the choices you have made in the recent past, at least over the last 5 or 6 months. It becomes very important since Saturn has transited into the Pisces sign. So it is giving you a direction that certain actions where you are service is connected, where your work is connected, your business is connected, you are surely need to reorganize, return and revisit, sometimes even rest and reminiscence before you take a call. Then the next place which is getting, or the next house or the next areas of life which Saturn is ordering you to reorganize or regress or restructure or redo is the social life, because Saturn also rules the 11th house for Aries zodiac sign. This means that you need to look at what are the social connections that you have in life, which of them are really value adding to you, or there are certain gains, or in some way they are beneficial to you, profitable for you, or they add to the essence of life. It is also asking you to relook at and revisit some of the wishes and desires that you have inculcated and you're progressing. Are you progressing in that direction? Is there a reason for you to revisit them and relook at them and take certain actions in terms of where you are heading towards, what your wishes and desires are, and your social obligations? Are you hanging out with the right people? Are you working with the right people? Are you partnering with the right people in your business? And where is Saturn retrogression in or retrogressing in? Saturn is retrogressing in the Pisces sign, but in the 12th house. This is important because the 12th house is also the house of waste and excess. So Saturn is asking you to revisit certain areas of your life concerning career. What decisions have you taken lately? How you have worked with your team lately? What is your rapport with your bosses lately? What is the environment at work? How you are revisiting or you relooking at those areas or relook at those areas? Because Saturn is saying you need to be positively impacting or bringing about a change both in your work and your career so that you make gains rather than you go through waste and excess in your actions. Then what is important is where is Saturn aspecting. So Saturn's aspect on the second house of earning is directly concerning that you need to relook at in your work and career. Are you earning enough, or Do you need to relook at, are you working in the right organization with the right set of people and you're earning well? And this is more important because Saturn's 7th aspect is also on the 6th house of service. And Saturn's 10th aspect being on the 9th house, which means gains will come to you only when you revisit certain experiences that you have gone through before and relook at what you have done before and maybe change some of that, so that you make continued gains both in your work, in your career, as well as what wishes and desires you are inculcating and what you want to take forward. Now, for those people who are of the Taurus zodiac sign, here Saturn rules the 9th and the 10th house, and Saturn is going retrograde in the 11th house in the Pisces sign. So here the 9th and the 10th house are immediately impacted, and the areas impacted because Saturn rules both the 9th and the 10th house. Saturn is a very important yoga karaka for Taurus zodiac sign people. So it's important that when you look at the 9th and the 10th house, you look at the overall manifestation of Saturn in the horoscope and where it lies on the horoscope, not just where it is transiting through. So Saturn ruling the 9th house means, and retrograding in retrogression, which means there is a need to revisit or reorder or reorganize or return to certain areas of your life connected to your 9th house as well as 10th house. Maybe you need to rest a while and think. You need to reminiscence and then go through a restructure or redoing or regressing or rescinding some of your steps to be able to take steps in the right direction. So in terms of your learning, the experiential learning, what are the learning that you have added in terms of certification, in terms of your education, maybe it is time to relook at or revisit or maybe upskill yourself connected to your work and career, because Saturn also rules the 10th house of your work and career, because that may also impact what are the gains that you make from your career. Mind you, Saturn is transiting through the Pisces sign, which is also the 12th house in the Kal Purush Kundi, but here it is the 11th house where it is transiting through and now retrograde. So your wishes and desires connected to gains coming from your career and through your experiences, your educational pursuits will be able to get you more gains, and your fulfillment of wishes and desires will come only when you revisit these areas, re-step or redo your steps and relook at what are the actions you have taken so far. Is your career moving in the right direction? Are you in the right industry? Are you in the right team? Are you working with the right people? Are you working on the right project? And do you need to redo some of the learning certification? That is important. And how you're connected in your social life, connected to work. So what is the rapport that you have, social connection with your people at work? That is also important. And maybe you need to revisit and re-go to some mentor or some experienced person to take more direction, the right direction, through your social connection with that person to know where you need to make gains or whether you are in the right trajectory. And what are the houses that Saturn aspect? This is important because Saturn's aspect is on the Lagna, Saturn's aspect is on the 5th house and the 8th house. So firstly, very important that Saturn's aspect on the Lagna, the 3rd house of effort, 3rd aspect of effort being on the Lagna, which means here you will have to relook at where is the effort that you're putting in and whether that effort is giving you the right results or not. Specifically connected to a career change, which the 5th house denotes because it is the 8th to the 10th house. So very important because Saturn's aspect on it is showing that if you take the right step, getting into the right team, getting into the right project, getting into the right role or an organization, then this will be giving you long-term stable results. However, Saturn's 10th aspect on the 8th house means also be on the lookout for a new opportunity which comes out suddenly. So keep an eye out on new opportunities, changes, transformation, because that could be very beneficial to you. Now for Gemini zodiac sign people, Saturn rules the 8th house and the 9th house and now going retrograde in your 10th house in the Pisces sign. So this will have a deep impact on both your 9th house and the 8th house and your 9th house results, and then connected to the 10th house of career. So the 8th house being the house of sudden transformations, changes, sudden issues, challenges, Saturn is giving you an opportunity, because Saturn is a slow moving planet, to redo or revisit some of the decisions that you have taken lately, because those could be an obstruction or an obstacle or a hindrance for you connected to your career. Why connected to your career? Because Saturn is right now transiting through your 10th house and in retrogression. So retrogression of a planet means you need to revisit, reorder, reorganize, or return to some of the decisions, choices that you have made, some actions you have taken, some karma that you have gone through, some procrastination you have done. So there is some learning which you need to also inculcate through your experiences, and be transformative in your actions, bring about change in your actions by relooking at the experiences you have had so far. Using that experiential learning, using your experiences to overcome hurdles, to overcome obstacles, to overcome challenges, and then make gains in career. And why it's important? Because Saturn is transiting through the 10th house in Pisces sign, which is the sign of optimism and imagination and creativity. So use your imagination and creativity to overcome obstructions, challenges, using your high learning, high experiences to revisit some of the choices, revisit some of the decisions you have taken, and go through a transformation and change using experiential learning connected to work, as well as where Saturn is aspecting. So the 12th house becomes important because here Saturn's aspect, the third house of effort aspect, is on the 12th house. So especially if you're working in a foreign company or in a multinational corporation, so you may be able to make more gains and maybe look at opportunities, sudden opportunity which may also come to you from foreign lands connected to your career. And then domestic life, you need to revisit at your look, have a look at your domestic life, and not cut corners or not neglect it because of too much focus on work. Specifically, if you're married, if you're in a relationship, because Saturn is also aspecting the 7th house. Now, for those people who are born in the Cancer zodiac sign or Cancer rising sign, for those people, Saturn rules the 7th house and the 8th house, and now going through retrograde motion in the 9th house in the Pisces sign. So it's important because Saturn rules the 7th and the 8th house for Cancer zodiac sign people. So here, partnership, teamwork, conjugal relation, marital relationship, teamwork, all are under essence. Specifically when Saturn goes retrograde, which means Saturn is asking you to revisit, reorder, reorganize, or return to some of the choices that you have done, some actions you have done, some karma that you have done, some decisions you have done, maybe procrastination you have done. So learn from those experiences and bring about a change and transformation. Why change and transformation? Because Saturn also rules your 8th house. So bring about a change or transformation in your outlook towards your committed relationship, through how you work in teams, how you are in your marital relationship, how you work in partnership. Because through that transformation and change, only then you will make gains, because Saturn is transiting through the 9th house of gains. And do it with optimism, but also with creativity and imagination, because the Pisces sign is the sign of creativity and imagination, as well as where Saturn aspects. Saturn's 11th, Saturn is aspecting with the third aspect, the 11th house of society, societal gain, societal network connections. So because Saturn rules the 7th house and aspecting the 11th house, which means there is a need to revisit some of the connections that you have socially. Relook at those connections that you're making in your teamwork, in your accounts, in intra-department connections, because those could be key to you making gains or not making gains. Specifically because Saturn's 7th aspect is on the Virgo sign in the 3rd house of effort. So through effort in your service, which the 6th house represents, where Saturn's 10th aspect is, you may be able to make gains, which the 9th house represents, to better teamwork, through better ability to work in partnership and working closely in a close knit bond with your team members, especially because the 11th house is also under connection, under question here. So overcoming obstacles, challenges, problems, looking out at new opportunities through teamwork to be able to make gains in your service, using your experiential learning, is what Saturn is trying to ask you to revisit, reorganize, or reminiscence or regress to be able to make gains during this period. Now, for those people who are of the zodiac sign Leo, for these people, Saturn rules the 6th house and the 7th house. And now Saturn is going retrograde in the 8th house in the Pisces sign. So this is important because Saturn rules the 6th house of service, your karma, ability to work with others, ability to work with teams, specifically because Saturn also rules the 7th house of conjugal relationship, partnership, working with teams, working in close rapport with others, close bond with people, being committed in a relationship, in a partnership. So when Saturn rules the 6th and the 7th house and now going retrograde in the 8th house, so it is asking you to revisit or reorder or reorganize certain actions or karma or choices or decisions that you have done or taken or will be taking in your career, specifically connected to how you deal with your team members who work below you. And be also re-looking at how you work in a team effort with them, how you work in a team bond with them. Have you really served the team? Have you really put in the hard work, bent your back to ensure that there is better partnership in your team? Because Saturn, when it goes retrograde in a house, it asks you to change or transformation or revisit. Now that it is transiting through the 8th house is also the house of transformation, change. Saturn does very well in the 8th house, especially in the Pisces sign, which is the sign of optimism, but also creativity and imagination. So Saturn is asking you to use your creativity and imagination to transform and change how you look at service, how you look at teamwork, how you look at working with people below you, how you look at competition, how you look at competitive situation, how you look at competitive exams, and use your teamwork and bonding to be able to overcome obstruction, challenges, and bring about gains. Look out for sudden opportunities which the 8th house represents, specifically because Saturn's third aspect is on the 10th house of career, work, vocation, partnerships. And because Saturn also aspects the 2nd house, so here your earning, your livelihood will be strongly under contention if you don't change or transform. And because Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 5th house of investments, change in career and creativity and innovation, so it becomes very important that you relook at how you are looking at service and teamwork and rapport, so that you are able to overcome challenges of the 8th house and also have a look out on new opportunities. Now, for those people who are born in the Virgo zodiac sign or Virgo rising sign, for these people, Saturn rules the 5th house and the 6th house, and Saturn is now going retrograde in the 7th house. Now, this is an important denotation because firstly, Saturn rules the 5th and the 6th house. So, your 5th house of gains, creativity, all those things you have interest in, you like, you love, you want to indulge in, and the 6th house of competition, of challenges, of inimical forces acting behind your back. It is also the house of your Bhrigubhav, of your pending karma. So Saturn now going retrograde in the 7th house means relook at some of the romance associations you have done in the past. Relook at the connections, romantic connections that you're looking at in the past, or through getting connected to people and liking people and developing an interest in people, and then looking at marriage or getting into a committed relationship. Relook at that because Saturn is giving you another chance. Over the last 4-5 months, Saturn has been direct, but now it is going to be in retrograde motion for the next 4 months. So revisit that and make your choices right. Otherwise, you will not know that some of the inimical forces are acting behind your back and spoiling what you are trying to derive out of your partnership, out of a committed relationship, and then it may not be good. Now, Saturn is in Pisces sign, which means ask you to be positive and go ahead only when you have done your due diligence in relationship, in partnership, in change of career, in presentations, in how you're working in team, and how you're making your investments. Mind to remember, even partnerships or marrying is also an investment of time, effort, love, emotions, energy that you're putting in your for your future. So relook at that. And this becomes important because Saturn also aspects the 9th house of gains, but also the lagna of your stature, your dignity, your prestige in society, and aspecting also your 4th house. So your 4th house of domestic life is under question when Saturn is asking you to revisit, reorder, reorganize what decisions you have taken lately in connection with your domestic life, or setting up a new domestic home, or buying property or buying assets, because the gains can come or go based on the decisions you take. And be careful about what decisions that you take, because you're standing in society, your prestige, your stature, your respect will also be under question. Now, for those people who are born in the Libra zodiac sign or Libra rising sign, for these people, Saturn is an important yoga karaka because Saturn rules both the 4th house and the 5th house. And Saturn is now going retrograde in the 6th house in the Pisces sign. Now, this is important because Saturn being an important yoga karaka, and remember that Saturn also gets exalted in this Libra sign here, which is the Lagna, the ascendant. So Libra sign, for Libra sign people, Saturn's placement becomes very important. So Saturn here rules the 4th house of domestic life, assets, and your peace, your tranquility, your love, your affection, especially connected to family members. So Saturn now going retrograde in the 6th house means relook at, are you looking at, or is a relationship which troubles you, which you look at that person is almost your enemy, or usually you get into some trouble with that relationship, maybe your husband or your parents or your siblings, some close relationship. So Saturn is asking you to revisit that and heal that, because the 6th house is also the house of healing. So heal that relationship, heal that connection, heal the domestic life. Revisit that, reorder that, restructure it, rescind your steps, and relook at that. And if you have been in a relationship or a romantic relationship or going through that, revisit that and be very sure about the relationship before you take it forward, because otherwise it could be inimical to you long term if you're not careful of who you're romantically indulging in or trying to be in a committed relationship and wanting to take the relationship forward in the long-term stable relationship which the 4th house represents of domestic life. Specifically because Saturn is going retrograde, it is asking you to revisit and relook at the choices you made because of certain decisions, actions, procrastination or karma that you have done. You may not look at certain things, or you may overlook certain things which may be loss making in long term. Saturn is also asking you to relook at, if you're getting into loans or debts, be careful of where you're taking loans or debts in, because specifically connected to buying property or buying things that you wish in terms of conveniences or upscaling your life or quality of life, because that can be long term impacting your income. And this is important because Saturn aspects the 8th house of sudden issues, sudden problems, sudden challenges, but also the 12th house of waste and excess. So Saturn's 10th aspect on the 3rd house of effort, which means some of your effort may go waste. And if you are not ready for a sudden opportunity which comes for you, or a sudden change or transformation that you need to do both in your domestic life and your romantic life. So overall, this is the time of change and transformation in assets and family and domestic life, connected to work, connected to the effort that you're making, and looking out for an opportunity, sudden opportunity which you're getting, both to overcome waste and excess, but also to look at opportunities. Now for zodiac sign people or zodiac rising sign people, Saturn rules the 3rd house and Saturn rules the 4th house. So this is important because Saturn is not going retrograde in the 5th house but in the Pisces sign. So Saturn's retrogression is all about revisiting, reordering, reorganizing. Most of it is or returning or resetting or restructuring or redoing certain areas of life, specifically those houses that Saturn rules. Saturn rules the 3rd house of effort, influence, marketing, communication. So Saturn is asking you to revisit, how have you been interacting with people lately? How or what effort have you made in trying to market yourself or try and influence people positively? Relook at that, because some of those may not be helping you. Some of that is not serving you. So relook at those areas in communication, in terms of how you're standing up in your work, what kind of effort that you're putting in at work, what kind of projects you're working in, what kind of a teamwork you're putting in, what short distance travels you're making. So this is a lot about travel, communication, your dignity, your prestige, and how you carry yourself, what kind of influence you're carrying at work or in your business, whatever you do. This is important because Saturn is translating through the 5th house of speculative investment. So this is very important for those people who are more flexibility in your work, where you are given a lot of authority in your work. So then it becomes important because Saturn is passing through the 5th house of innovation, creativity also, and what interests you. So here you can be a little more creative, which the Pisces sign also represents in your effort to be able to get more gains. And also through the 4th house of domestic life. So put in a little more romance in your domestic life, revisit some of the things at home, maybe restructuring the home, but try and spend more time with your loved ones, because Saturn is giving you an opportunity to correct certain things in your domestic life, revisit certain actions, revisit certain negative baggages you are carrying, maybe saying sorry to some people, overcoming some issues, negative baggage with people, and to let go. Specifically, Saturn is asking to be positive, because Saturn is retrograding in the Pisces sign in the 5th house of also romance. So if you are in a romantic relationship, if you are in a committed relationship and trying to set up a home, or thinking of setting up your home in the near future, or you already in a committed relationship, then relook at your domestic life and whether it is serving you. And maybe you need to make some changes in your actions, in your karma, in your decisions, in your choices that you've taken so far to be able to make more gains going forward, as well as in your investments. If you've invested in some share market or even in property, then revisit that and be careful of the paperwork and your due diligence which you need to do. And this is important because Saturn's aspects are on the 7th house of partnership and business, 11th house of gains and working with others in a partnership. So here, a lot of speculative gains, speculative investments, working in partnership, working with people is coming into question, and what wishes and desires you have from the partnership, from the investment, because that is going to impact your learning, that is going to impact your earning through the learning, which the 5th house of education also represents, and your livelihood. So overall, a period of reminiscing and reordering or restructuring in your partnership, in your commitment, in your social life, in your what interests you, especially connected to your domestic life and your communication and the influence that you bring about on others. Now, for those people who are born in the Sagittarius sign and or born in the Sagittarius rising sign. So here, for such people, Saturn rules both the 2nd house and the 3rd house, and now going retrograde through your 4th house in Pisces. Now, what this means is Saturn's 2nd house and 3rd house ruling now going retrograde means Saturn is giving you an opportunity of revisiting, reordering, reorganizing, returning, and restructuring certain areas connected to the houses that it rules, the areas of those houses, so that you are able to make use of the opportunities that Saturn will be giving you, or overcome challenges or obstructions that you may be coming up or facing in the near future. More connected to your livelihood, more connected to your earnings. So Saturn is asking you to revisit certain choices and decisions you have made in your career, in your working, vocation or business, whatever, specifically connected to livelihood and earning, and also nutrition. So try and save more money in the bank, try and increase your bank balance, try and tighten up your purses. So revisit and restructure how you spend money and earn money. Look at for opportunities of earning more money, because Saturn will surely give you that opportunity in those next 4-5 months. Then Saturn's 3rd house rulership, which means the effort that you put in earning money should be with a lot of positivity and due diligence, because Saturn is transiting through the Pisces sign, which is a sign of positivity, but with a lot of imagination and creativity. So use your imagination, use your creativity, and ensure that there is more peace and tranquility at home in your domestic life, so that your focus doesn't move away from your ability to be able to earn more money, earn a better livelihood, save more money, and put in more effort and influence connected to your career. Why career? Because Saturn's 7th aspect is on the 10th house of work, and Saturn's 10th aspect is on the Lagna. So through your work, what effort that you're putting in, you will be able to create better rapport at work and be able to increase your earning, specifically connected to service if you're working under somebody. So overall, a positive time for Sagittarius people. However, surely a time to reminiscence, redo, rescind your step, take a recess, rewind, and you take necessary appropriate steps both in your earning potential, in your career, in your stature, dignity, standing in society, and specifically connected to work. And what effort and influence that you're bringing about or putting in to be able to influence both your work and your earning potential. Now, for those people who are born in the Capricorn rising sign or Capricorn zodiac sign. For these people, Saturn rules both the Lagna, the first house, and the second house. Now, what does this mean? It means that Saturn is giving you an opportunity to revisit, reorder, reorganize, return, redo some of the actions, karma, decisions, choices, procrastination that you have done, both connected to the Lagna and the second house. Now, the Lagna becomes important because Saturn's rulership of the Lagna means in most areas of your life, Saturn is asking you to revisit, specifically aimed at your stature, standing in society, your dignity, your prestige, and your health. This becomes very, very important. So relook at some of the decisions that you have taken, what kind of health actions that you have taken. Are you taking care of your health? Because there can be small setbacks over the next 4-5 months if you're not careful. You may develop a chronic ailment if you're not careful on what you eat, what you indulge in, specifically because Saturn also rules the second house of nutrition, the quality of food or the rich kind of food that you take in. So be careful here. Specifically because Saturn is going retrograde in the third house of effort. So Saturn is specifically asking you to put in the effort, both in terms of your standing in society, your stature, your dignity, but also health. And we look at your career connected to money because Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 12th house of waste and excess. So you may be spending too much money and you may not be saving enough to be able to make gains which the 9th house represents. So only when you put in the right effort by redoing some of the steps that you're taking and doing to earn more money, to increase your earning potential. So mind you, Saturn is giving you or helping you to identify an opportunity to relook at your earning potential. So gains are coming in with Saturn's 7th aspect on the 9th house and Saturn's 10th aspect on the 9th sign in Sagittarius but on the 12th house. So tighten your purse. Look at how you're spending money, but gains are surely coming in if you put in the right effort. And speculative investments become important. Romantic liaisons become important. What interests you, what you love to do becomes very, very important. So Saturn is asking you to reorder, restructure your effort in terms of how you are looking at your life, where you're heading, which direction you're going, what tangent you're going, your earning potential, your nutrition, and also what gains you're making. So be careful of what committed relationship you get into or romantic liaisons you get into, what speculative investments you're making, and what long distance travel you make, because some of them can be very gainful, but some of them can also lead you to waste and excess. Now, for those people who are born in the Aquarius zodiac sign or Aquarius rising sign, for these people, Saturn rules both the 12th house and Saturn also rules the Lagna by virtue of his rulership of the Aquarius sign. Now, this is important because Saturn going retrograde in the second house while ruling the 12th house and the first house, the Lagna, means Saturn is giving you an opportunity to revisit, reorder, reorganize, restructure or redo certain actions that you have taken in terms of where you're heading in life, where you're standing in life, what your designation is, what your prestige is, what your stature in society is, how your health is. And a lot of that is connected to both nutrition but also your values, your family values, your family heritage. So Saturn is asking you, are you moving too much away from your values, your family traditions, your family values, morals that you have inculcated? Because if you are moving too much away from your morals, your ethics, then there may be waste and excess, which Saturn may punish you with. So Saturn is giving you an opportunity, because if you don't take that into account, then both your nutrition or your ability to be able to make nutrition or earning potential or your livelihood may also take a back seat. That will also impact your standing and your prestige and stature in society. So very, very important message for Aquarius rising sign people, because remember, Rahu is also transiting through your Lagna. So over the next 4 or 5 months, revisit, reorder, reorganize some of the steps you have taken. Specifically, you're working in a multinational corporation or working abroad or in foreign lands, then it becomes very important. So foreign essence is surely there, connected to your earning, connected to your earning potential. Opportunity of foreign land, working with foreign clients may also be there. Specifically, this is important because Saturn's aspects are on the 4th house of moving house, restructuring a house, redoing a house, revisiting a house, or making changes and transformation, because Saturn's 7th aspect is on the 8th house of transformation, of change. So a transformation or change in your earning potential can come through foreign lands, or in moving your home where you're living currently. that can also bring a lot of gains through the social connection that you are in. Mind you, there may also be social connection which you get romantically involved and end up getting even into a relationship specifically connected to a foreigner or from foreign lands or a foreign account also. Or if you're abroad, you may also meet somebody who you may fall into a relationship with, because Rahu is translating through your Lagna. This is very important. So on the whole, a good time for Aquarius rising sign people to revisiting, reorganizing, re-looking at your earning potential, how you're taking care of health, what your stature in society is, in your work specifically connected to in your work area, if you're working for a foreign company or in foreign lands or multinational corporation, and how you look at your social life, because surely there is a transformation that Saturn is bringing in each of these areas. Now, last but not the least, for those people who are born in the Pisces zodiac sign or Pisces rising sign, for such people, Saturn rules the 11th house and the 12th house, and now going retrograde in the Lagna in the first house in the Pisces sign. Now, this is important because Saturn's rulership of the 11th house of gains, of wishes and desires, and now going retrograde means Saturn is asking you to revisit or reorder or reorganize or redo or resign your step to be able to look at some of the karma or action or decision or choices that you have made connected to your social life, connected to intra-department rapport, connected to certain wishes and desires that you have, because of which you have moved in a certain direction, moved in a certain tangent, partnering with different kinds of people to be able to attain that vision desire. So very, very important that you revisit and be more creative and use your imagination and creativity to be able to make gains through their social interaction, through the partnership, to have a better standing in society, have a better prestige in society, to have better stature in society. If not, then Saturn's rulership of the 12th house will bring in the waste and excess of your effort. So your effort going waste, which impacts your standing in society, which impacts your prestige, which impacts the gains that you make. So this is very important. And this becomes very important also because Saturn's aspect is on the 3rd house of effort, but on the Taurus sign of money-making sign. And Saturn's 10th aspect, the career aspect, the karma aspect is on the 10th house, which is also connected to your career. Saturn, remember, the Karaka of your career connected to work. And Saturn rules the 11th house of wishes and desires connected to work. So surely one opportunity Saturn will give you again in your work, in your role, in your designation, in the project that you're doing, in the team that you're working with, and also to strike a better rapport with your bosses and superiors, because of which you may be able to get more appreciation and recognition at work, because of which your stature in your work, in your society may also increase. So through partnerships with the 7th house represents where Saturn is aspecting with the 7th aspect, and connection, social connection with the 11th house represents and Saturn rules, you putting in the effort will bring you more money, will give you more opportunities, and surely a new opportunity if you redo your step, revisit your step connected to your career. So overall, very positive time for Pisces zodiac sign people, asking you to be more creative, more imaginative in your effort, looking at partnership, looking how you work with people to overcome waste and excess, but also to make gains in your career. So friends, now that we have seen how Saturn going retrograde in the Pisces sign, ruling whatever house represents, Saturn rules in the respective rising sign that you're going through, you are in. Please revisit looking at where Saturn is placed in your horoscope, in what dignity it is in, because that will bring in its own flavor. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me, the link given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.